What up? Welcome to episode 3 of the Universal Report presented by VacationKingdoms.com. This show is your guide to making the most out of your next Universal Orlando visit. I'm Conor Brown, an Orlando local Universal annual pass holder and a seasoned travel agent, and I help make complicated trips uncomplicated. Whether it's your first time stepping through the Universal gates or you're back for more excitement, this podcast is your go-to resource for all things Universal planning, park strategies, reviews, park announcements. We got you covered. In the second episode, our previous episode of the Universal Report, I gave an overview of the entirety of the Universal Orlando resorts. Theme parks, city walk, hotels, all that jazz. Well, by this time next year in 2025, the resort will look very different and a bit larger. That's because Universal is opening a brand new theme park in 2025 called Epic Universe. This is the first theme park to open on this scale in a quarter of a century in Central Florida. No offense to Legoland or Peppa the Pig Park. They are great in their own right. But this will be a bit bigger than those two. A few weeks ago, Universal announced when Epic Universe would be opening. May 25th, 2025. That's the opening date. And this past week, tickets went on sale to purchase admission into that park for the opening week and the days beyond it. I was lucky enough to get a ticket to opening day, plus a few extra in the first few weeks the park is opened. I'm so excited to experience this new park. And in light of all those announcements, I wanted to take a time to share everything we know about Epic Universe so far. The lands, the rides, the restaurants, all the entertainment offerings. We are sure to get more info in the months to come, but I thought this would be a great time and a great place to start on our Epic Universe journey. So, first things first, where exactly is Epic Universe located? Throughout this podcast, I just assume I'm going to constantly be comparing Disney to Universal, and where Epic is located is no different. You see, Universal doesn't own as much contiguous land as Disney does in Central Florida. So what they've had to do with Epic Universe is kind of buy pieces of land a la carte, I guess you could say, which is funny because that's how Disney did it back in the day. But Epic Universe is actually going to be kind of like its own little campus. So if you remember episode 2, we talked about what there is there right now on the Universal Orlando Resort. So the plot of land Universal has purchased for Epic Universe is about 5 miles away from the current Universal Orlando Resort property, or the property where guests frequent every single day. If you remember from our last episode, from episode 2 of the Universal Report, we talked about the current structure of the property. When Epic opens, it's almost going to be like there's 2 campuses now for the Universal Orlando Resort. There's the North Campus, which is kind of the existing campus. That's where you've got Universal Studios Florida Theme Park, Islands of Adventure Theme Park, Volcano Bay Water Theme Park. You have City Walk, and then you have the first 6 hotels that Universal built. And those 6 hotels are Portofino Bay, the Hard Rock, Royal Pacific, Sapphire Falls, I'm missing a couple, Cabana Bay Beach Resort, and Aventura Hotel. Then the South Campus is what's going to be home to Epic Universe, the Helios Grand Hotel, which is actually going to be attached to the Epic Universe theme park, and then also the Terra Luna and the Stella Nova hotels, which are in the prime value category for Universal. In between those 2 campuses, the North and the South Campus, like I said, they're 5 miles apart, thereabouts. In the middle, not the true middle, a little bit closer to the North Campus, there is another plot of land, and on that plot of land, it's only the Universal Endless Summer Resort, with the Dockside and Surfside Inn and Suites hotels in there. So that's kind of its own little thing, kind of in the middle, not really middle, but not necessarily connected to either the North or the South campus. If 5 miles seems like a lot, it isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. Going back to Disney, Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, the hotel, is actually 6 miles away from Disney Springs. And if we go over to the Magic Kingdom area, the Grand Floridian Resort, that's actually about 6 miles away from Disney Animal Kingdom theme park as well. So the only real difference, Disney obviously has a whole lot of space, so they own all this land and they're miles apart, even though it's all the land that they own. The only real difference is that from getting from the North Campus of Universal to the new South Campus of Universal, it's 5 miles, but you might not be passing through just Universal property. You're going to pass through some public areas, some other areas, right? Some public roads, those sorts of things. But the cool part is that Universal has actually started to invest and rebuild this road connecting where the South Campus and Epic Universe is to the North Campus, where all the existing infrastructure already exists. The other cool thing, if you're staying at one of those original 6 hotels, or if you're staying at the Endless Summer Resort, you will have dedicated complimentary transportation provided by Universal to get you from that area to Epic Universe and back. Additionally, Terra Luna and Stella Nova, the two new Prime Value hotels, will also have complimentary transportation to get you to the existing North Campus and to get you to Epic Universe, the theme park proper as well. The cool thing is these are electric buses, and the roads that Universal is rebuilding will actually have dedicated bus lanes. So I believe that's going to really help with infrastructure, with traffic, with ways and means. Is that the right thing? Ways and means? Ways and means. All those things. So while 5 miles might seem like it's far away, I don't really think it's going to be that big of a deal. Again, the only real difference is you're going to be on complimentary Universal transportation if you're staying at one of those hotels, and you're going to be going through non-Universal areas, but I think it'll be relatively easy to get to and fro. God knows on Disney property, there can be log jams and huge traffic jams regardless of where you're on property. So Disney can't even fix that as well. So I don't think the distance will be too bad, but how big will Universal be? Everyone keeps talking about this grand scale. So how big is it actually? So Universal has said that this land that they've acquired is about 750 acres that they've set aside for the Epic Universe area. Again, that's what they've said. They might have more than that in other pockets, but 750 is what they're rolling out with. Compare that to the existing North Campus, and remember that North Campus is the 2 existing theme parks, Volcano Bay, City Walk, 6 hotels. That is 735 acres. So this new plot of land, 750 acres of contiguous land, is actually bigger than the existing parks, resorts that Universal already has. Now, the theme park isn't going to be the entirety of 750 acres. No. Remember, they still have the Helios Grand Hotel, which is attached to the theme park, and then Stella Nova Terra Luna. I'm going to get those 2 wrong. I just know it. That's all in there, but there's still plenty of room to grow in this new South Campus that Universal is building. One other cool thing to keep in mind is that this is going to be Universal's first attempt at the hub and spoke theme park method. So the hub and spoke theme park method, you probably know from either Disneyland Park or the Magic Kingdom Park. You enter through a central point, there's a circle kind of in the middle or a thoroughfare in the middle, and the lands jut out from the sides of that thing. Compare that to something like Animal Kingdom, which is pretty much a big circle around a lagoon. Hollywood Studios, which is down and out and back, right? There's no connecting point to those theme parks. The existing Universal theme parks in Florida are like that as well. Universal Studios Florida is a lot of out and backs and those sorts of things. Islands of Adventure is essentially a large circle, but there's no central point. The central point is the lagoon in the center of Islands of Adventure. So this is going to be the first hub and spoke. So again, a central sort of backbone, and then jutting out from the sides will be those lands that will make up Epic Universe. Now, will the lands connect from point to point, like one land connects to the other, kind of like in World Showcase or in Islands of Adventure? You go from Toon Lagoon to Marvel Superhero Island, they connect right there. I don't know. Remains to be seen. You might have to go back to the central point, but again, we'll see. So, Universal is calling all of the lands that make up Epic Universe portals. And you're going to enter each portal into each new land. The central backbone, the hub of this hub and spoke infrastructure, is going to be called Celestial Park. And then the other portals within Epic Universe are going to be Super Nintendo World, Dark Universe, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic. So there are 5 distinct portals, lands, call it what you will, that are going to make up Epic Universe when it opens on May 22nd, 2025. So let's start with Celestial Park. Celestial Park, like I said, is kind of that backbone. So there will be 2 entrances to Epic Universe, a main entrance where if you're coming from transportation from other hotels, you'll go through there. If you're parking there, you'll go through there. If you're taking an Uber, a taxi, what have you, getting dropped off, you'll go through what I'm calling the front of the park. The back of the park ends at Universal Helios Grand Hotel. I keep wanting to say Grand Helios. That sounds much more easy. But the Helios Grand Hotel is at the back of the theme park. And those guests staying at the Helios Grand Hotel will have a dedicated entrance to Epic Universe. They will still enter into Celestial Park just at the end of Celestial Park versus the front of Celestial Park. So when you enter Epic Universe, this is where you're going to start to see and understand the idea behind it. Celestial Park is that spine again, but as you enter into the park, you're going to enter underneath the Chronos, which from Universal is a mysterious mechanism with origins unknown to even the Celestians. I hope I'm saying that right. The Celestians are the residents of the park, so they inhabit Epic Universe. This device, the Chronos, when fully aligned, opens a gateway to the universe, inviting guests to step inside and explore. The Celestians use its power to open portals to other worlds. So there you go. The Chronos is what powers the portals and opens the portals to these other worlds that we're going to visit during Epic Universe. So you can kind of understand the importance of Celestial Park. It's really how the park powers and operates all the portals that you're going to go into. A cool little backstory with that. The sun, the stars, the constellations really fit into this whole motif, and that's why they're calling it Epic Universe. Universe, sun, stars, constellations, those sorts of things. That's really the tried and true center of the park. One cool thing about Celestial Park, per Universal, they're saying Celestial Park puts the park back in theme parks. From the artist renderings, from the artist flyover, the little 3D video that they've done, it really looks very lush, right? There's gardens, there's landscaping, there's water features galore in Celestial Park. But there's also a few attractions and dining places in Celestial Park. It's not simply the backbone in and of itself. It's not a means to an end or just a place you're going to walk to and from to get to the portals. No. There's plenty to do in Celestial Park as well, starting with Stardust Racers, which is an attraction I'm very, very, very much looking forward to. So this is a dueling launch roller coaster. So what does that mean? There's going to be 2 roller coasters launching at the same time. So like an A track and a B track, and you're going to kind of be racing each other. They're going to do an inversion over each other twice, I believe. That's going to be unbelievable. And it launches you at up to 62 miles per hour, going 133 feet in the air. So this is going to be a thrill ride, no doubt about it. It looks like you're being launched into the stars, which is very cool. One fun detail, which I think is going to be absolutely awesome. At night, traditionally, roller coasters like this, the track will be lit up, right? This is not the case with Stardust Racers. No, the track will not be lit up. The only thing lit up will be the cars on the track. And they're going to glisten and glow like stars so that the backdrop is going to be completely dark against this structure of the roller coaster. So at night, it's going to look like the cars, the roller coaster cars themselves, are shooting stars. That's going to be unbelievable. Shooting stars through the night sky. In reality, it's a whole bunch of people screaming, getting launched at 62 miles an hour, going up 133 feet in the air. Stardust Racers, I think, is going to be awesome, not just to ride, but to also experience and look at and set the tone in Celestial Park. Also in Celestial Park, Constellation Carousel. So this is not a traditional carousel. You're going to hop aboard a celestial creature, and the vehicles are going to weave in and out of each other while also going around in a carousel circle. So very untraditional. Additionally, it's going to lift you gently 6 feet in the air. So think about that as a carousel, two very different non-traditional carousel vibes there. That's going to be in the center of Celestial Park, and it's going to be very pretty as well from the concept art. Astronomica is going to be an interactive play area, so interactive fountains. Kids can play in there, adults can play in there, I guess, even though it's a little creepy. But there you go. Those are the 3 attractions within Celestial Park. Celestial Park is also home to some restaurants, including Atlantic, which is going to be a sit-down restaurant inside of a Victorian-era style aquarium. It looks like it's going to have fully glass windows out looking into Celestial Park. So a great backdrop and a great view for your dining experience. Additionally, in Atlantic, there's also going to be Aquaria Bar, which is just going to be a traditional bar, great place to grab a drink quickly, those sorts of things. Also in Celestial Park, sit-down restaurant, the Blue Dragon Pan Asian Restaurant. We don't have the full menu for this or any menu at all for any of the dining locations in Epic Universe so far, but this is going to be set in an almost always occurring night market. So the ambiance is going to be like you're in a Asian night market, and around the clock it's going to feel as such. So that's pretty cool. The Oak and Star Tavern and Pizza Moon, 2 other dining locations that we don't know too much about, but they'll also be in Celestial Park. One fun thing or interesting thing is in Celestial Park, you're going to find the Nintendo Superstar Store. Seems kind of out of place since there is a Super Nintendo world, but I think this is important because you'll be able to purchase power-up bands, which I'll talk about, or I have to assume you'll be able to purchase power-up bands, which we'll talk about in a little, in this store before you go into Super Nintendo World, which is going to be important. They haven't announced this, but I have to assume that there's going to be some sort of just all-encompassing store in Celestial Park as well. If you think about the other theme parks, you have the, Port of Entry, Gifts, Islands of Adventure. You have the studio store at Universal Studios Florida. Those are just kind of, they have all of the goods or traditional goods that you would want to buy just from a theme park exclusive kind of thing. It's kind of like a hodgepodge of all the lands coming together. I have to assume, since this is kind of acting as that central point, there's going to be a store like that in Celestial Park. All right, let's get into our first portal, shall we? So again, Celestial Park is going to be that backbone, and then you'll be able to see all the portals of the different lands around Celestial Park. You'll walk into the portal to get to each one of these lands. And let's start with one I'm very, very, very excited about. I think this is the one almost everyone has at the top of their list for excitement levels. That's Dark Universe. Dark Universe will be based on the Universal Classic Monsters, a franchise which is over 100 years old. Franchise in quotes. They've been making monster movies at Universal for over 100 years, which is unbelievable. As you approach the portal, it's going to be crackling with energy, kind of like the energy Dr. Frankenstein used to create his monster. And as you're going through the land, the energy is going to pulse with you throughout the land. Eventually, it does connect to the top of this foreboding castle, which we'll talk about that castle in a little bit. In Dark Universe, important to point, all of the Universal monster movies have already taken place. So Darkmoor, which is this village, if you will, is the consequence of all of these films. It's the result of all of these films. It's where you'll be able to see all of these Universal classic monsters. We're talking Frankenstein's monster, Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, maybe Creature from the Black Lagoon, right? The Mummy, all sorts of people like that, monsters like that, I should say. Universal has said, this is going to toe the line of being family friendly, but also PG-13. I'm a Halloween Horror Nights junkie. I love it. So I think bringing that scary element is something Universal does incredibly well, and I hope to see that in Dark Universe as well. So let's get to the attractions making up Dark Universe. First thing, Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein Experiment. So remember I said that energy is going to be pulsing through, the electricity is going to be pulsing through the entirety of the land of Darkmoor, and eventually it's going to reach the top of a tower of a foreboding castle. That's the Frankenstein Manor, and you're going to go inside. So the whole notion here is inside Frankenstein Manor, the great-granddaughter of the OG Dr. Frankenstein now lives there. Her name is Dr. Victoria Frankenstein. And nightly, she's trying to harness the power of all of the Universal classic monsters through various experiments. One monster that doesn't take too kindly to that is Dracula. And during this ride, chaos ensues because of him. He's trying to escape. All the other monsters are going after him. Dr. Victoria Frankenstein's going after him. You, in all good theme park tropes, are caught in the middle of this cataclysmic event. Universal has said it's possibly the most technologically advanced ride they have ever built. Rumors are saying it's going to be akin to Forbidden Journey over in Hogsmeade, in the Wizarding World and Islands of Adventure. So kind of that style of ride system taking you through. Hopefully it doesn't make you as dizzy as that one does for me personally, but very, very, very cool. The other ride coming to Dark Universe is Curse of the Werewolf. Guess what? I've got some bad news for you. You've got the mark of the werewolf. Nothing you can do about it. Or maybe there is something you can do about it. You can try to escape the Wolfman that is hunting you. This is a thrilling, family-friendly roller coaster that spins as well as you go through Darkmoor on this ride. Very cool indeed. You can also get done up in your monster best with the Darkmoor Monster Makeup Experience. Think of it like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique or the Pirates League that they used to have at Disney. They'll cover your face in whatever monster you want to be, I guess, and then you get to walk around. Sounds great. I don't know if I'll do it, but there's that option for you. Character experiences throughout the land. You'll get to meet these Universal Classic monsters. There's also a couple dining locations that we know about in Dark Universe. First is Das Steakhouse, which is a sit-down steak-style restaurant, and you're being served by the vampire familiars. Familiars are the people that are not vampires, but they are kind of, in a way, like the vampire servant, right? Like they're locked, embedded into the vampire, and they help them exist in the world. So the vampire familiars will be serving you, and Universal has said at Das Steakhouse, yes, you'll get steak on a steak. Place I'm very, very, very excited about is the Burning Blade Tavern. This is inspired by the 1931 Frankenstein film where the windmill catches on fire, that iconic movie scene. Well, this is going to happen here. You're going to enter a windmill, but before you get there, every once in a while, the windmill will catch on fire. Inside, it's like a tavern, but the monster hunters hang out there. You'll get to hang out with them. You'll get to see the prizes that they've won, the monsters that they've captured or collected. But then also think of a traditional tavern style beer, drinks, burgers, those sorts of sandwiches and vibes. Very, very, very cool. You're going to catch me there the first day of Epic Universe being open. Absolutely. That's our first one. That's Dark Universe. That's Darkmoor. That's all of that. Pretty scary. Very ambitious, right? Let's go to a little bit more family-friendly one for our next portal that we're going to enter. And that is How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. I will say, when this one was announced, I think most people are like, oh, that's interesting. Compared to the other properties, it might not be as popular. I think for kids, it's very, very, very popular. I've seen the movies. They're fun. I'll have to rewatch them again. But I will say, once we started to learn more about this, I think this portal, this land, serves a distinct purpose, one. And two, I think it might be the most underrated of the portals debuting at Epic Universe. It looks expansive. As you enter, it looks like you're entering an island right then and there. Water all throughout, 2 tall Viking statues in the middle of the water. It's like you're on an actual isle, the Isle of Berk, of course. There's a lot of rides here, but that other thing that I think is very important, I said, one, this was going to be the most underrated portal in Epic Universe, but two, the purpose it serves, I think it's a very family-friendly portal compared to some of the other ones that might be a little bit more PG-13, preteen, those sorts of things. So the first attraction you'll probably see going all throughout the land is Hiccups Wing Gliders. So this is a family thrill roller coaster that's going to go up to 45 miles per hour. The notion here, Hiccup, the protagonist of the How to Train Your Dragon films, is creating this vehicle that will mimic you actually flying on a dragon. Toothless, which is his dragon, Hiccup's dragon, doesn't like this, pushes the guests off on the ride before Hiccup has been able to attach the wings to the ride. So it's a kind of chaotic ride like every other thing. It's always a chaotic ride, right? But it looks great, family friendly, probably a very smooth roller coaster. Another attraction coming to this area is Fire Drill. If you're surrounded by dragons breathe fire, you're probably going to have to learn how to put out a few fires from time to time. This is what you do for this one. I'm actually very excited about this one. I think it'll be really, really cool. It is going to be an interactive boat ride. So from the artist, renderings, and concept, you're going to get on a boat. You're going to be standing. The boat's going to move very slow. And then each side of the boat will be competing against each other. What will they be competing against? You're going to have a water gun. There's going to be kind of targets all throughout. You're going to have to hit the targets with your water gun, and you'll rack up points as you do that. Really cool. We've had rides like this, right? Men in Black, Alien Attack, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, Toy Story, Midway Mania, those sorts of things. But those are all tech-based. You're shooting a laser. You're shooting onto a screen. This seems like the first ever true, you're firing something off the boat, in this case, water, and that is how you accumulate your score. That's going to be awesome. Really cool. There's also the Dragon Racers Rally. Dragon Racers Rally. It's this concept. It's hard to explain, but basically you're going to get strapped in. You'll go up and down almost 65 feet in the air, and then you can control if you want to spin back and forth, or even upside down. You can spin as much or as little as you want. Will I do that? Maybe once, right? Just to say, check it off. Check it off, right? The list of things to do, but not a big, constantly going upside down kind of guy, right? I love my flips. I love my barrel rolls on my roller coasters. I don't need to do it constantly. I don't need to be inundated by that. There's also the Viking Training Camp, which again, when I said this is going to be a great family-friendly land, this is one thing I was talking about. It's an interactive play area for junior Vikings, so some place for the little kids to run around have fun. It seems like there's all throughout the Isle of Berk, the entirety of the land, there's going to be a lot of interactive elements as well, including the Haddock Paddock, which was where you'll get to meet Hiccup and Toothless from the films. There'll be other dragons, other meet and greets throughout the land. One very cool thing at night, Monstrous Nightmare or Gronkle, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which are dragons from the film. You might be able to see them soaring in the sky during the nighttime. That'll be pretty epic. There's also Mead Hall, which is a restaurant with a feast fit for a Viking. But one thing that I'm very, very, very excited about is the Untrainable Dragon stage show. They have this out in Universal Beijing, I believe. I hope that's the correct park that they have this at. But the stage show looks incredible. Special effects, puppets, well-developed story. I'm very, very, very excited for this to come to Epic Universe. There you go. How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. Again, chalk this up as my most underrated portal, land, what have you, coming to Epic Universe. One land that we probably know the most about is Super Nintendo World. Why do we know the most about this portal? Well, it already exists in 2 places around the world. This one will be different from those 2 to start, but it's bringing some new things, though it still has some things that have already been opened. So there's a Super Nintendo World in Universal Studios Japan. That was the first one that opened. And there's one in Universal Studios Hollywood out in California. I actually got to experience the Universal Hollywood Super Nintendo World this past February. It was awesome. It was so cool. Hey, be sure you're following me on Instagram at Vacation Kingdoms, because the week that this episode drops, I will actually be posting kind of a recap from my time there, just a refresher to saying, hey, I've already seen some Super Nintendo stuff. Here's what it looks like. So if you want to see photos of that, follow me on Instagram at Vacation Kingdoms. One difference between that land out in California and this one is size. The Epic Universe one is going to be much larger than the Hollywood one, and it's going to probably be larger than the one in Japan as well. Japan is expanding its already existing Super Nintendo World, so it'll be pretty comparable to the Epic Universe one. But that being said, I'm very, very, very excited for the one coming to Epic Universe because of how much fun I had at the one out in Hollywood. 3 attractions that are coming to Super Nintendo World. One, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. So this is the attraction that they have out in Hollywood. I got to ride it out in Hollywood. A very cool, albeit sometimes confusing attraction. This is interactive. It's like you're actually in Mario Kart. There's augmented reality. So you put kind of like headgear on almost. It's a little Mario cap that you put on. And then when you sit down, you clip on, they're not goggles, it's more like a plastic screen that comes in front of you. So you can still see through everything. It's not actually touching any part of your face other than where the hat comes on your head right there. It clicks right into place on your hat. And that way you can see all of the screens around you, all of the traditional, I guess you could say, hardscape sort of stuff around you, like the props, the animatronics, those sorts of things. But then through that plastic is where the augmented reality comes into place, and that's where you can actually control your cart. You look left, you'll glide left. You look right, you'll glide right. You have a steering wheel that you'll also operate your car. Press the button to fire the shells, the banana peels, the power-ups, all those sorts of things that you know from the traditional Mario Kart ride. So it's very cool. It's very slow moving. If you traditionally get, I was going to say seasick. If you get motion sick on these styles of rides, I don't think you will on this one because it is slower, kind of eases you in. So it's still very, very, very cool. Also coming to this land is Yoshi's Adventure. They have this out in Universal Studios Japan at their Super Nintendo World. This is going to be a very slow moving ride, great family friendly ride. You're going to climb aboard a Yoshi, and you're going to go around his land there collecting eggs that he's laid. Seems crazy, but I promise it's not that crazy. Probably the attraction I'm most looking forward to, maybe in all of Epic Universe, is Minecart Madness. So to enter Super Nintendo World, you'll enter its portal through the lead pipe, the green pipe, sewer pipe that you enter into different lands, different worlds in the actual Mario video games. You'll enter through that, and you'll enter into Mario Land first. In the back of Mario Land, there's going to be another portal, which when you walk through that, you'll go into Donkey Kong Country. So both of those things exist within Super Nintendo Land, but Donkey Kong Country is going to look very much like the Donkey Kong video game. So think of a more tropical kind of setting. And the big attraction here is Minecart Madness. So like the Donkey Kong video games where you're in a minecart, this roller coaster will actually you'll actually do it like you're jumping over broken tracks, like you're jumping the tracks, right? It's a very cool technology that they're using for this. No screens in this, all actual hard, animatronics, real elements, nothing screen based on this. The minecarts are going to go all throughout the land. It looks very, very, very cool. Heading back into the Mario Land part of Super Nintendo World, there's Toadstool Cafe. I ate at Toadstool Cafe out in Hollywood. It's fun inside, plenty of toads. They're hilarious. Some cool interactive elements go on around you as you eat. And then it's burgers, chicken sandwiches, and kind of like Italian American fare because it's a me Mario, right? Those sorts of things. Meet and greets with Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Toad. I'm not proud, but when I was out in Universal Studios Hollywood, I might have jumped over a couple ropes, might have cut some people. Again, I apologize to meet Toad. It was an incredible, incredible experience. One of the greatest experiences of my life, meeting Toad out in Super Nintendo World. A day I'll never forget, and I look forward to meeting them again at Epic Universe. Power-up band. So I talked about this a little bit. Power-up band, kind of like, you know what? I'm going to get it. So this is a power-up band. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, I will describe it. It's kind of like a slap bracelet with a big circle in the middle that kind of rises up out of the band. Mine is Mario themed, so you got Mario's red and blue colors and the big M. You put it on your wrist, and then you go throughout the land playing games. It's connected to your Universal app, so you want to have the Universal Orlando app downloaded when you go to Epic Universe. And it's going to, via the app, track all of the points you're getting. So there's a whole bunch of different games throughout Super Nintendo World that you can play. There's a whole bunch of coins you can collect. There's a whole bunch of secret items that you can do. Part of the fun, part of the thing, probably the reason I loved Super Nintendo World so much was how many interactive elements there are. It's really, really cool. There's a leaderboard. So throughout the day, you can see how you rank against everyone else in the park that day. And there are several key challenges. So these are more robust than the just collecting coins or finding things throughout the land. These you actually have to do something, and you have to win the challenge to get a key. Once you get a certain amount of keys, then you'll be able to unlock and play the Bowser Jr. Shadow Showdown, which is in its own kind of area in Super Nintendo World that is really, really, really cool. It's high energy. You're jumping up and down. You're moving your arms rapidly. I got to do that out in Hollywood. It was a lot of fun. So when I said, there was going to be the out in Celestial Park, there was going to be the Nintendo Superstar store. I would assume that in that area, you'll be able to buy power-up bands there. I would also assume out in City Walk on the North Campus, You'll be able to purchase power-up bands there. That way, you can connect it to your app. There's a little QR code right on the back there to connect it to your app. You'll be able to start tracking stuff so that when you go into the land, you'll be able to start playing games immediately. They will have a store in Super Nintendo World. I actually bought this through a vending machine in Super Nintendo World. That was really, really cool. Really easy to use. From what I remember, I think it's like $35, maybe $40, depending upon the one you get. And they have a Yoshi one, a Luigi one, a Princess Peach one. Sometimes they come out with special ones throughout the year. There was a 1 year anniversary for the Hollywood version when I was there. So yeah, you'll want to purchase that, and you have a lot of fun with it. So that's Super Nintendo World. Very excited about it. But the one that people are really jonesing for, like always, is the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. So in Orlando, we have 2 Wizarding Worlds currently. The original one at Islands of Adventure was the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Hogsmeade. So that's the little town outside Hogwarts Castle. Hogwarts Castle is there. You get to experience those things. Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure, a new edition there. Then there's the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley over at Universal Studios Florida, which is Diagon Alley from the movies. And now this Wizarding World of Harry Potter is called Ministry of Magic. It has a little bit from the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them franchise, and a little bit from the original series, the original Harry Potter series as well. So when you enter this portal, you actually enter right into Wizarding Paris in the 1920s that you see in the Fantastic Beasts films. You will also experience the British Ministry of Magic from the OG Harry Potter series. More on that in a bit. But when you walk into this portal, you're going to pass through the Phoenix Arch. And you're going to enter into the Plaza Cachet, I believe. My French is no bueno. This is like the French equivalent of Diagon Alley. The Phoenix Arch is kind of like when you're in Diagon Alley and the bricks are moving and you go into Diagon Alley. That's that concept, but for Paris Wizarding area. This is where you're going to walk into the land. Universal has said this is the biggest kind of land they've ever created, meaning in size and scale. They've built Paris streets to scale. The shortest building in Plaza Cachet will be taller than the tallest building in Diagon Alley. If you've ever walked in Diagon Alley, you already think, I'm in a real city. These buildings are massive. They're so tall. Well, the tallest building in Diagon Alley would be the shortest building in Plaza Cachet. Very cool. Very cool. The marquee attraction here is going to be Harry Potter and the battle at the Ministry. So, using the Flu Network and also going forward in time via the Flu Network, you're going to be transported from that 1920s Paris to the British Ministry of Magic from the Harry Potter films. You're transported to a very important moment in time. It's right when Dolores Umbridge is being put on trial for her crimes. As you're in an elevator going to see her on trial, of course, like every theme park ride, something goes wrong and Dolores escapes. All of a sudden, you find yourself paired with Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and you're fighting and dodging Death Eaters throughout this. Universal has said this is their most ambitious attraction they've ever created. I love this because it brings a new wizarding world in the Paris version, but it also gives us that OG Harry Potter stuff that we know and love. I think the Ministry of Magic is going to be on such a grand scale that when we walk into it, if you've seen the movies or read the books, you're going to be awestruck by it. Back out in Plaza Cachet, there's Le Cirque Arcanus, which is going to be a circus-style show. It's inspired by the Parisian circus from Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald film. And this is the first interior stage show Universal has ever created for the Wizarding worlds. There's going to be special effects. There's going to be storytelling, acrobats, all sorts of stuff. Very excited for this one. There's also going to be interactive wands and spells. So in the 2 existing Wizarding Worlds, you can purchase a wand from Ollivanders. They're going to have a Parisian Ollivanders, whatever that maker is. I can't remember their name. But you'll be able to purchase a new style of wand compared to the older ones. I think the older ones will work in this new area. Don't quote me on that. But the new ones will definitely be retroactive. You'll be able to use them at the older Wizarding Worlds, and at the newer Wizarding World, they'll be able to do more things. A couple of places to get some food and bevy. Café l'Art de la Serenité. I am not good at French, okay? But that's like a Parisian cafe. Then there's Le Goblet Noir, which I think means the dark goblet. It's a hangout, like a bar, that sort of thing for dark wizards and witches. So think of Nocturne Alley over in Diagon Alley. I think that this is going to have the same sort of vibes. Place I'm looking forward to, Bar Moonshine. It's in Paris, but it's themed to the U.S. Quidditch team. Let's go, America. Am I right? It's going to have pennants from the U.S. Quidditch team, and then also other items from the Wizarding World of America. Outside, there will also be Bira Beret. Oh boy, I am so sorry to everyone from France or who speaks French. But it's a butterbeer cart. Butterbeer will still exist in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. I think this land is going to be massive. I think there's going to be plenty of little shops here and there, just like we know from Diagon Alley. I'm really, really, really excited for this one. Let me know what are you most excited about? What portal, what land are you most excited about coming to Epic Universe? As we learn more from each land, we'll do a deep dive into each land on the show. I'm thinking of doing a dedicated episode to each land. Again, as we learn more information, I'll continue to update you via the podcast here. One other thing I wanted to let you know, I'm doing a weekly newsletter now called Conor in the Parks, where I'm visiting the Orlando theme parks. As an Orlando local, I can do that. I can do it weekly. I'm doing the Disney parks, I'm doing the Universal parks. You'll get to know every time I go on a cruise. Go to vacationkingdoms.com/email to sign up for that newsletter. Conor in the Parks. It drops weekly on Wednesdays. I'll also be able to keep you up to date on news via that. So please join that. As we learn more, I'll share more info with you. Epic really, truly is going to change the theme park landscape here in Orlando. I guarantee that. Right now, you can buy tickets. The way that it works is you can buy a 3-day, 4-day, or 5-day Universal Orlando Resort ticket. Of those 3, 4, or 5-day tickets, only 1 day will be good for Epic Universe. The other days you'll have to use at Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios Florida. You can also add on a Volcano Bay option if you want. You can also add on Park to Park option. But for your Epic Universe day, you can only go to Epic Universe. You pick the dates. One of those days, you get to go to Epic Universe. There will be single day tickets. We don't have that just yet. So if you really want to go, as it's opening up in those first few months, you want to guarantee a spot of such 3, 4, 5-day tickets with the Epic Universe 1-day add-on. And again, of those 3 days, 1 day would be at Epic. The other 2 days would be at the 2 other parks. Same applies to the 4 and 5-day tickets. If you want to book that, or you want to book a vacation package with that, stay on property at Universal Orlando Resort, reach out to me. I'd love to help you book a trip. Conor at vacationkingdoms.com. There you go. Epic Universe. What an epic show. Am I right? 5 portals. Gonna be unbelievable. So much more to come. I'm so excited that I'll be there on opening day. Opening day is gonna be chaotic, right? It's not going to go according to plan, but I'm excited to be there then. And I'm excited to be there on subsequent days in those first few weeks so that I can experience the land, share my knowledge and experience with you. I look forward to that. If you enjoyed today's episode and you are watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, let me know you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell icon so you get notified every time we post a new video. Be sure to follow our handle at Vacation Kingdoms across all the social medias. For those peeps listening on Apple, please be sure to subscribe and rate and review the show on there. I'll be sure to read future reviews on the podcast. If you listen on Spotify, give us a 5-star review, and please click the follow button on our show page, as that will help us out on Spotify as well. If you like the show, please do me a huge favor and share it with someone who you know who's planning their next Universal Orlando vacation. And if you are ready to book a vacation to Universal Orlando, to Epic Universe, I would love to help you with that. As the Director of Agent Development and a travel advisor with Keys to the Castle Travel, I'll help you find the best deals, answer any questions you have, and I'll be an advocate for you. Someone you can turn to for advice, and the best part is me helping you with the booking of your trip is absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a dime. Reach out to me at Conor, CONOR, at vacationkingdoms.com, and I can help you book a trip. And of course, if there is ever anything I could ever do to help you out, I am more than happy to try and do so. Send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. And that will do it for this episode of the Universal Report. I've been Conor Brown, and until next time, keep LTD, living the dream, and I'll see ya real soon.